So today we are talking about splitting axes. Now I know I have not done an axe tour, quote unquote, but it's because I've been sort of reluctant my whole life to tell anybody which axe is best, because I've never really fallen in love with an axe in a way where I feel like it's that good, to be honest with you. You'd think after all this time splitting wood since I was, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, even if it was with just a small little hatchet, you'd think by now I'd have some favorites, and I really don't. It doesn't really seem like anybody has brought it all together into one perfect axe. And I'll admit, I haven't tried every axe in the world, obviously, but I can tell you based on what I have tried. So the only company axe I have not tried is called Gransfors Bruch. And that's it. I've tried almost every other company out there, even some companies that are similar. So today we're gonna go over what I have tried, what I have kind of liked, and what I just have absolutely hated. So before we do that, if you're noticing, I don't have a beard, my typical beard right now. That is because I shaved it off in an attempt to actually try to do a review for another company. And that company is Manscaped. They make a lot of like trimming tools for all over your body, but I've been using 2 different trimmers, one for the rest of my body, obviously pretty gross, and then one for my face. But then they finally made a beard trimmer, so they sent me one and I got the chance to try it. So I did, and I'll talk about that, well, right now before we get into the axes. So real quick, here is the body trimmer I've been using. You guys probably see this all over the place, honestly. Super popular, super well renowned. But this is the body hair, like arm, whatever the hell you're using it for, trimmer. That's what I've had, and I've actually used not this one, not the body hair one, but a different one on my beard. Let's see if I have it. Yep. So I had 2 of them. Here's the one I use on my beard, I use the other one on my body. And now they made a beard trimmer, and this is pretty dope. This is what it looks like. So you guys know, we're clear, this is an ad. But I have done ads in the past for a company and canceled them because I didn't like the product. This one I do like. I've had probably 5 or 6 different beard trimmers over the years, and I like this one the best because it has this little like roller that lets you decide all these different heights and depths for your beard. Now if you want to know what I do, I put it all the way down, 0.5 setting, shave, and this is how short it gets right here, how my face is right now. And then I let it grow, trim up just underneath my eyes and underneath my neck with the full all the way off, you know, the guard all the way off. I'll trim here, here, let my beard grow all the way out again, and then trim it again. That's how I do things. Why, you ask? Well, I think it looks pretty weird. Personal opinion, I think it looks really weird when a beard looks too manicured, and like dudes trim it and it's like the same perfect length all the way around. I'm not a fan of it, but I mean, it is what everyone does things their own way. So I like letting my beard grow a little bit gnarlier looking until 3 to 4 weeks in, shave it all the way down like this again, and then get back to it. So I'll probably only use this thing 1 to 2 times a month for the actual trimming of my beard, or shaving of my beard, and then I'll just use this wider head for taking care of underneath my eyes and then my neck. So there you go, that's how I do it. Pretty straightforward, that's how I trim my beard. Right now, that's my favorite one I've ever used, so shout out to Manscaped. But everyone always asks beard care, like what do you do? So my beard's long again, which will be sooner than you think, but when my beard does get long again, I'll show you guys what I do for beard care as well. But for now, that's the trimming aspect of it. So let's get back to axes, which I'm sure is why you're here in the first place. So the first thing we want to do is make sure we are not using a felling axe for splitting wood. Remember, splitting wood is to make the wood crack open. That's the entire point. A felling axe has a very narrow head to it, and it is for chopping a tree horizontally so the tree can then fall or fell for you. Now I do have this as a novelty sort of axe I just throw around the house, or have around the house for when guests come over, kids want to like whittle some stuff or do a little bit of whittling work with a safer, smaller tool, I'll let them play with this, and obviously not super young kids, but kids that are old enough. So my friends' kids, well, I'll give them something like this, but this is a good example of a bad axe for what we're talking about. This would be great for chopping off small limbs on a, you know, a skinny sapling or something, but it is horrible for splitting wood, and that is because of how narrow. There is no gradient to the bit. That means it does not flare out on the front profile. I think you guys can see that pretty good, but it is too narrow and does not have any flare to it. Here is a cheap, inexpensive, I should say, cheap isn't a good word because it's lasted so long, inexpensive Amazon hatchet. I keep this, just like most people, outside on the porch just to get hammering away at some quick kindling. Much better for kindling. You can already see why. Look at that profile, or that front-facing view of that flare. There's at least some flare to it, allowing it to really pop open wood. Now, this is not an axe or hatchet I specifically recommend by any means, but it's just a good example of what we're talking about here. Make sure all the axes and mauls you're considering have a good flare to the head. Now that we've talked about that, let's get into first the ugly. Then we'll get into the good, and then we'll get into the better. So the ugly is this beautiful, ironically beautiful axe. Helco Work. Amazing company, right? They make just the coolest handles and heads for things, and they have this real nostalgic, vintage, sort of old school vibe to all their stuff because they're still making, you know, wooden handled axes, and I can appreciate. I think this one's hickory, most of them are, but I want to talk about this axe. So this is called the Helco Vario 2000. I have humbly made this axe very popular by using it in a lot of my videos. But what a lot of people don't know is I do not like this axe at all. Really? Yes. Here's why. I'm 200 pounds, right? I would never claim to be magnificently strong or spectacularly powerful. And this axe head breaks on me almost every time I use it. I have a backup of like 20 bolts. I've gone through 6 of them. These, they have like a Allen wrench, like hex head on them, and you screw them in to keep the backing and bit of the axe head on the actual handle, and it breaks. I break that bottom one probably if I'm not exaggerating, probably every second or third time I've used it. This is now the 8th bolt that I've gone through, and I'm fucking done. I'm tired. I'm sorry for the curse words, but I'm tired of replacing them, and I'm so frustrated because I really want to like this, but functionality is everything. I don't care how fucking cool it looks. I don't care how great the gradient on that head is. See how awesome that wedge head is? I don't care how good any of that stuff is. The bit could be the best in the world. If I have to keep dealing with that fucking thing and tightening it or fixing broken bolts, and I have to back them out, it's a pain in the ass. So do not buy that axe. I'm sorry. I'm not here to slander or hurt any companies, but that one sucks. Quite frankly, it's not a good axe, and or maul. It's not a maul because you can't use the back for hammering, but it's just not a good splitting axe, and I have not had good luck with it at all. And I can only imagine somebody else would have the same problem. Even if it wasn't as often as me, it's gonna happen, and you don't, quite frankly, want to deal with that every time you want to go chop wood, because I have to tighten it every 6 or 7 hits. 6 or 7 pieces, and that's just not good. So that one, don't buy. It's a $200 axe. It's got to be way better than they're showing. Now here is a better one from the same company. This is called the Saxon Splitter. I am a crazy fan of how beautiful the head of this axe is. In fact, this is my favorite axe head and bit that I've ever used. It's got this nice little notch on the bottom so you can kind of guide pieces back from the pile if you need to. It gets a great edge on it. I have no hard time sharpening this on a belt, which is how I sharpen these. And you know, to be honest with you, it's not a maul. It's only like 6, I think maybe 7 pounds total. It's not a traditional maul, so you can swing it for a long time without getting super fatigued or your shoulders getting worn down. My only issue and complaint with the Saxon Splitter, too short. The handle is too short. Now I'm sure you could find a different handle, but I mean, let's be honest, when you go buy an axe, you want to be able to just use that fucking axe and maintain it. little bits at a time. You don't want to have to rebuild the whole damn thing. So that's my only feedback on this one. Longer handle, and you're still gonna need a maul if you buy this axe. It's not gonna replace a maul, but it will be your best splitter. Same company, Helco. I'm still kind of, I don't know how to put this, I'm still kind of annoyed because my other axe, my bigger one, my block splitter from them, has not held up, and I haven't really been able to rely on it. So it's hard for me to sing them too many praises at this point. I have had contact with the company in the past. They've been nice, they've been cool, but when it comes to the actual product, that's what we're judging here. So I'm not gonna, you know, sugarcoat anything today. So, Saxon splitter. Could be better if it had a longer handle, but for you shorter guys, fellows out there, and ladies, if you are in like the 5'5" to, I don't know, 5'10" range, it's a good length. I'm 6 feet tall and it just seems a little short. It feels like I'm not getting maximum leverage on this thing when I swing it. I could use an extra 2 inches on there. That's what she said. But that's definitely the case with that one. Now the last thing we're gonna go over today is actually my attempt to apply this to a big picture. This is made by a company called Collins Axes. You can see it right there, it's kind of fading. This is my trash throw around axe, and it's going to represent a cheap, inexpensive maul that you should all own. It is obviously a synthetic handle, not wood. It has held on for now, I think, 3 years of abuse. Like, I've abused the shit out of this thing. It looks like it's gone through hell, came back, and then went back again. Dings, bruises all over it, but it's held up. The head is not loose, it's still on there. The backing to the sledge looks like it's not mushrooming at all, and I've used this to hammer in hundreds of wedges. It's doing great, or one wedge probably hundreds of times, if that makes better sense. And then the axe head, or the maul head here, has an amazing, smooth and aggressive gradient to it. Now here's my issues. These are not built, they're not supposed to be like an axe you take care of and continue to rebuild. Once one of these breaks, which is likely to happen with beginners more than it'll happen with me, it'll break from these things called overstrike. When you miss and hit that synthetic handle, it's only got a couple of bad misses in it. And luckily I'm at the point in my, you know, splitting career that I don't miss that often. But when you do, it could be the end of that axe. So you have to be prepared to spend less on these, because everyone needs a synthetic maul around, but you have to be prepared to spend less because you might have to buy one every year. So I just think you need one of these around no matter what. Now here's the good news. It does not have to be a Collins axe. It's not special. All of these companies have like a generic version of this. Even Fiskars makes one. This is 8 pounds. Every company makes an 8-pound synthetic maul that you would find at like a Lowe's, Home Depot, which I don't really have around either one of those, but Orchard Supply. You can find an 8-pound synthetic maul anywhere. So find yourself a maul, buy one of these first. You can get by on a more inexpensive axe for now, and until I find something I love, I can't recommend something better than, you'll get Collins is one company, I think Lexavon is another company, and I think Fiskars is the third company, and last I think there's one called Trooper. To be honest with you, they're all so similar, it does not matter. But one more time, Collins, Lexavon, Fiskars, and Trooper all make 8-pound synthetic mauls. Fiskars probably being the highest end one. If you have the money, buy that one because they'll replace it if it breaks. So yeah, I mean, after all this time, you think, I still love using these for nostalgia, for like that craftsmanship vibe. I like feeling like there's an axe that still has that sort of craftsman connection. The wood, the hickory handle, that, you know, that nice sleek look to it. But to be honest with you, if you're on a budget, just don't do it yet. Nobody's done it right. So that's my opinion. I haven't tried Gransfors Bruk yet, so if you guys are watching this, send me one, I'll review it. But so far, if you're just an everyday, you know, general wood splitter, get you one of these 8-pound synthetic mauls and you'll be good to go. You guys are awesome. We'll talk again soon. That's as honest as I can keep it. I hope I don't hurt any feelings today with the transparency there, but I gotta cut it to you guys straight. I wouldn't let you go buy something I didn't like myself. So there you go. Don't buy the axe you see always in my TikTok videos, because I am currently having a hell of a time using the fucking thing.